Hey there guys, Do It a Dutch here with some more League of Legends. It's been a while since my last video, so I've decided to do this again because a little bit at the request of one of my friends, which is this video actually that I'm showing. This is a game that involves my friend. Without me, he decided to he actually sent me, so I decided to watch it. So this game is practically him being the jungler as Shyvana, of course, and seeing he is actually pretty much carrying this entire game, if you ask me. So what does his team comprise of? Him as the jungler as Shyvana, Darius top, Tryndamere top, Lux mid, and Misfortune bot lane on her own because I don't know which one of these two was the asshole and decided to claim top even though the other had it. It's not very important who was. It's important though that it causes a bit of complications, of course. So, as you can expect, it starts out pretty well. Of course, considering Shyvana has no sort of mana, it's best to start off with the blue, of course. Their team comprises of a Yi mid, a Lee Sin jungle, a Nunu support with a Israel AD carry, and then Zed on the top. So, I'll pretty much fast forward this a little bit because, well, basically, there's no really need to see. There doesn't really happen much at the start, so what's but I could talk a bit about, for example, Shyvana jungle. Now Shyvana is one of my favorite top laners. She's more favorite to me as a top laner than a jungler because I require junglers with a good form of CC, at least some form of gap closing and CC. Because I'm really bad at performing ganks otherwise, to be honest. Or I guess I could do it, but I prefer much more with CC. It's something of a more, well, favorable trait to me. So, as you can expect, now you might be wondering what has he started off with? Well, he started off with a longsword and a potion. Now this seems a bit weird, of course, considering that most most junglers, of course, these days open up with a hunter's machete and 5 potions. He's only got a longsword and 2 potions. Now there's a reason behind this because he's trying to rush out to his Blade of the Ruined King first, which gives him a more stronger ganking potential. Now, Yi versus Lux. Lux is not having a good chance because, of course, Yi has become quite annoying now, especially since his remake, since everything he does out of his meditate does physical damage, even his Alpha Strike, which is, to be honest, a bit ridiculous now. Top lane is going, well, basically Darius has no farms at all because Tryndamere keeps smacking them all way under his nose. It's kind of a dick move. I'm still not sure which one was who. I'm guessing it was Darius, but I can't be certain because I wasn't in this game. As you can see here in the text, they're already saying what they think about the whole damn thing. So I'll just skip this until it gets a bit more interesting. As you can expect, Misfortune's having a very difficult time. I'll just accelerate this to ×2 because that makes it a little bit easier. So Misfortune is of course having a very difficult time considering it's Nunu Ezreal bull. She can barely do anything. Nunu's constantly harassing her with Ice Blast. So is Ezreal with a Mystic Shot. But here comes Shyvana to the rescue. At least I think. We'll see how this goes. I think it went well. So he's at least able to help them push away a bit. Now Yi's been given his mid lane for a moment alone because Lux has decided to help out top. I don't understand why, considering there's already 2 on top. Now Yi has an easy chance at smacking at their turret. Again, Misfortune, she's playing it careful, which is good. I've seen solo laners against a duo go completely greedy and aggressive like hell, which is exactly what you shouldn't be doing, considering that you are easy pickings, especially someone like Misfortune who has no good form of escaping. She has no sort of distance increaser. She has not something like Caitlyn's net shot or Quinn's vault, which makes her, well, basically a very weak champion when it comes to escaping. Now, luckily, that's the only form of escape that Misfortune can actually rely on. She may have an ability called Make It Rain, which is a slowing field. It does a bit of damage, but that's not really its full effect. Now this is where the ganking goes well. They get a little carried away, and all of a sudden, bam, here comes Shyvana, and tears through them. That's 1 kill. And that was a flash. And it was worth, because that's a double kill now for a jungler. So Shyvana takes over for a moment. Lee Sin is trying to gank. Doesn't work out that well, so we'll accelerate this quick. Because at the moment not very much special things happen. It's a pretty decent game, but like I said, the jungler actually pretty much becomes the carry in this game because, well, Shyvana is just tearing through them. My friend's gotten really good at Shyvana jungle. He's been practicing a lot, such as I have been practicing other lanes, such as mid again and some jungling. Jungling has become a bit of a weakness to me. Now, this was a bit ridiculous. I mean, come on. Miss Fortune was on her own and still they're going to gank her. Though it's understandable, it seems a little overkill. Now Nunu's of course planning to stand up an ambush, and unfortunately he gets ambushed. I don't think he's... Okay, so she does get the kill, and a good use of Miss Fortune's ultimate, to be honest. And that's another double kill. That makes up 4 kills without a death. So Lee Sin of course got away. Hey, these things can happen. You can't expect them to win everything. Miss Fortune has been given a free lane again, so now she can farm in peace. So let's see what else we can find that's causing a little bit of trouble for these. So, as you can expect, everything here is going still as it is. These two are still bickering over who gets the farms. Well, bickering, it's mostly just Tryndamere grabbing most of them. He's a bit of a greedy asshole, but he gets bitten in the ass for that, so... So unfortunately, you decided to gank. There was, as far as I know, no pinging from Lux. If there was, it was unfortunately a little too late. And Miss Fortune lives, barely, but here goes Yi. Boom. Fortunately, Yi, your meditate isn't that strong unless you max it out first. So, what's Yi now become more potential at? Now that was a nice little ultimate from Lux. It's a good, as we always know, Lux's ultimate is one of the most powerful sniping abilities in the game. Now Lee Sin's having a nest. He just missed his Q, so there goes one of his abilities. But let's just talk about for the moment. Well, Lux of course has a very powerful sniping ability. So what has happened since Yi's remake? Well, first of all, his passive double strike doesn't happen after 7 consecutive 7 attack basics. It actually happens on the 4th consecutive strike. So this causes that he, of course, needs to do it down while fighting. If he stays out of a combat too long, the double strike is gone. What is unfortunate, of course, that it's now on the 4th strike, so it hits a call way sooner. So now Alpha Strike is based on physical damage. And what happens is that now Alpha Strike also crits, which to be honest is a bit insane. I mean, really? Isn't that thing powerful enough without all that shit? Now Tryndamere's finally been given his own lane because Darius has probably got fed up being never getting any farms. Of course this hand doesn't... Well, Lux gets away thanks to the flash, but unfortunately Nunu does get her, so... Getting closed in wasn't unfortunately an option. There goes Darius, so Nunu gets a double kill. Luckily that's a double kill to Nunu. Could be much worse. And unfortunately Sin then bit off more than he could chew. And goodbye Lee Sin. Now, you might be saying this is going quite well. Yes, it is. There's no denying that it's going very well. Here comes an Israel ultimate to weaken him. Now, of course, Shyvana not being that greedy, he's never actually greedy, so never always takes everything into consideration, every possibility, and knows not to do things that could end quite badly for him. So they just grabbed the dragon, which was a good call because, well, that gives them a goal advantage for the entire team. So, Syndra gets out just in time. I don't know what these guys were playing. Oh yeah, basically they're gonna ambush Misfortune, who is unfortunately completely caught out of position now. Like I said, Misfortune is not the strongest pusher on her own because she needs some form of. She may have her passive, which allows her to gain more speed, but that only works when out of combat. And unfortunately, so as soon as she's struck, you're pretty much in a deep pile of shit. Now I don't know what Darius and Lux tried something here. Worked out quite interesting. Darius gets a kill. Fortunately, Darius doesn't live through it. If Lux is that lucky, we're about to see. And she wasn't. Now here comes in Shyvana. Fortunately, I think even she bits off to more things she can chew, so she just did some damage and decided to get out of it. Unfortunately, for them, they didn't get the kill because they couldn't kill her. Well, like I said, I wouldn't say exactly that these guys are good. They're average. They're doing it fine, but I wouldn't say go to the point of, oh, they're great. These guys are good. To be honest, on our team, of course, there's a little bit of a handicap going on with a Darius with a farming level of 26, which is low. Well, they just grabbed their first turret, which was mid lane. Doesn't mean they're doing anything though. So now they're busy for a blue, which they get. Well, our blue. Their blue. So here comes in Shyvana on her own. She is able to grab Lee Sid. Now that was, of course, Ezreal. Lux gets that kill. Nunu unfortunately makes his escape, but it's to be expected. You can't grab them all. Now, Ezreal is saying that Nunu should be reported because he actually grabbed that blue, which Ezreal was not. Excuse me. Not happy with, of course. Now, Tryndamere and Zed are having their traditional dance on top lane. There's not been a lot of blows exchanging now. Considering Zed hasn't been able to recall because he didn't want to leave those two alone on the lane. He unfortunately is having a bit of an issue here. But luckily he couldn't kill him. So there's, of course, going a lot of things on the mid lane. Like I said, this is what I believe makes Shifu far too powerful in the AD segment now. Everything stacks very high with his attack damage. Fortunately, he's meditate, wasn't it? Okay, comes Shyvana in. And boom. Misfortune tried to kill him, but unfortunately didn't get there on time. Now, thanks to Lee Sin, Tryndamere's about to barely survive. Zed wasn't that lucky. And he's about to get caught out of position. But he makes a nice little escape. Like that. Unfortunately, Shiva. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry. Unfortunately, Shyvana doesn't give a shit, doesn't give two figs about that turret, and just goes in like that. Legendary Shyvana. Well, pretty much she's getting a little fed here. Unfortunately, Shyvana didn't see that in time, and goodbye, Misfortune. So, everything's going quite well for Blue Team, of course. So, what else can we say? Well, pretty much not. So, nothing's really special, so let's just accelerate this 2 times. Tryndamere being a little greedy bitch, gets out of position and makes an escape, but he's lucky, to be honest. He could have done better, but what are you going to do about it? He's still on his level 1 boot, so he's not able to keep up with him. So he's preparing to, of course, help out Nuno on mid lane. But then comes Lux as well. Fortunately, here comes the rest of the team. And where is our team? Well, Misfortune shows up, but Tryndamere really just doesn't give a fig. Fortunately, this ends in the first death for Shyvana. That's a shutdown of 500 gold for Zed, so he's just pretty much made up for everything he had. So that was the first death of Shyvana. It's the only death of Shyvana. The rest of the time she's gonna stay alive. Now, Tryndamere's been pushing her quite a bit, but even that's gonna end at some point, which happens here. But Tryndamere's just up and ignoring him, and he was determined to getting that kill. Fortunately for Tryndamere, he doesn't do enough damage to really outwin that from me, and dies. This is what happens with a lot of Tryndamere players. They get a little greedy, and they think they truly are infinitely unstoppable once they have that ultimate on there. Which of course is not the case, and they get killed. Now, while these guys are fending off whatever is on mid lane, Shyvana's soloing the dragon, which is doing quite well. Ezreal shoots an ultimate, and they keep pushing. But as you can expect, they don't want to take that chance. And they keep it on the defensive. Now, Shyvana just picked up the dragon, so she's ready for another fight. Which she's itching to grab at. So, besides Lux, the rest of them were setting up an ambush. Except Darius took the long way around. Now they're hoping to kill her again. Fortunately, doesn't work out thanks to a good placed Misfortune ultimate. Look at those two. They can't do shit anymore in that fight. So that's their mid lane turret. Nuno's sitting there in the back, but he knows he's going to die if he would try anything in there, even with his ultimate. So that's 2 turrets and 2 of their guys down. So that was a good engagement. Pretty much they've decided to prioritize Shyvana because of her because she got fed. Fortunately, that doesn't work out for them. So they do. Oh, how the hell did that just happen? That was a little accident on my front. Sorry. So, they think that targeting Shyvana would be a good priority considering she's the most fed. Yeah, that would work on, for example, an 80 carry. And even only on a few. But we're not talking about an 80 carry here. So pretty much what happens is that you can't beat this. You can't beat this guy that easily now. So they want to grab Dragon, and unfortunately they find themselves lacking one. So now blue team has 2 dragons, and purple team has none. No red for Lee Sin. And unfortunately Darius here does get a little greedy. He should have expected this coming, and finds himself at an untimely demise. Now I have no idea what Tryndamere has been doing this whole time. He's mostly been sticking to his lane, pushing it, which is, to be honest, not the smartest thing you could do. So this is exactly what I mean, that you don't even, that a fed jungler can be some of the most threatening things you can have, because so what is it all about when it comes to feeding? Well, getting someone fed, of course, gives an extremely good advantage. Most people prefer having their mid lanes or their AD carries fed, but to be honest, a jungler is a very effective team member to have with a lot of kills on, because this increases lane pressure on all the lanes. Stronger capability of ganking, more damage during the ganks, so overall it's a much more stronger effect. So Tryndamere decided to be at least a bit of a team player and joined up with the fight. They go in, boom. As you can see, it's going quite well for them. That's another kill for Shyvana. Tryndamere gets that one. Actually, he didn't. Misfortune did. That's just fine by me. She's been having a difficult time, so I would grind her that kill. Now this pretty much, of course, a surrender vote was placed in, but Triple Team didn't get that chance. Now there was one last thing they wanted to do before finishing it. They wanted to grab Baron. This isn't actually necessarily to taunt them or just looking and that they are chances hopeless. It's more of assuring your victory, because even though they may have the advantage right now, I've had turnovers myself that were quite surprising. So in comes Tryndamere. His crits are helping quite a bit. No, there was nothing that the purple team could do to stop this. So now Shyvana's team has of course Baron. Unfortunately, Lux needs to learn how to place that spine of hers. Ezreal unfortunately gets a bit caught out of position. Flashed for that. Bit unnecessary maybe, but I guess considering he already used the spinning slash, it's understandable. He may have a double kill, but I wouldn't exactly call it. To be honest, getting double kills with someone like Tryndamere isn't exactly an impressive feat. I mean, he's a heavy damage dealer by its nature. His passive increases his crit chance. This is of course another thing that makes Tryndamere extremely damaging. Unfortunately, the duration wasn't long enough for Tryndamere to get another kill. So in comes the fed Shyvana. Now as you can see, the Shyvana, he built Shyvana with a very strong basis on defense, with a lot of tanky items such as you can see, excuse me again, a Sunfire Cape and a random Endowment, a lot of armor at the moment. The Blade of the Rune King is just as that little bit of something that gives a tank not a massive amount of damage, but still enough damage to be considered a bit of a threat. It's maybe not how I would build Shyvana, but hey, everybody has his own way of playing, so I don't judge anyone on how he builds. Unless it's a troll build during a serious game, then I just pretty much am like, seriously? But he's taking this quite seriously, so at the moment they still have the advantage. They've pushed, of course, quite a bit, so let's just accelerate until it gets a little bit more interesting again. We're keeping an eye on this. And here comes another little fight, which ends quite quickly with them stopping. So then a little fight starts at Dragon. I said little because that's it, ma'am. Now Nunu of course overextends and gets himself killed. Nunu's another one of those champions you shouldn't be trying to play I Spy with, because basically, well, Nunu has no form of good escaping, no dash, no such thing as a destructive, what am I saying? No form of dashing, no form of teleporting. So he has no good form of escaping. He has a speed boost, but a speed boost can only take you so far. So this basically ends with them winning. So like I said, this game is all about one thing. Like I have made it previously clear, this shows that one of the strongest things that can make a team go to victory is a very strong jungler. Hope you've enjoyed this little video, and I'll be making more in the future. Thank you, and goodbye.